Zheng Shuyi, acclaimed financial reporter, stunningly beautiful and dripping in wealth, got cheated on by her scumbag boyfriend. His excuse? The other woman's family had greater influence and unmatchable wealth. As if the betrayal wasn't enough, the fool had the audacity to suggest they could stay friends. Shuyi's hand met his cheek with a loud, satisfying smack. To hell with your friendship. So what if that girl's family was rich? So what if her uncle drove a Rolls-Royce? Zheng Shuyi wasn't going to roll over and sob. No, one day those two would be at her feet, begging, groveling, calling her auntie. Yes, she was going to rise so high she'd crush that girl's pride and become her man's aunt-in-law. Every word of her vow sizzled with contempt. Fast forward. "Sir, my phone's dead. Could you give me a ride?" Shuyi asked sweetly, brushing her hair behind her ear. Her voice dripped like honey as she locked eyes with the man in the back seat. Sharp suit. Sharper jawline. A face sculpted for billboards. He glanced at her, cold and unreadable, and rejected her flatly. "I don't give rides to other people's girlfriends." Shuyi muttered a curse under her breath. Of course, he was the rich guy she once rejected. Fast forward. "Director Sure." Shuyi called out across the hallway. The man slowly turned his head, each movement soaked in quiet power. Dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, glowing with authority, he looked every inch the man in control. Shuyi grinned like an excited child. She'd waited a long time for this interview. "Are you available now?" she asked, pretending to be casual. But every bit of her knew exactly what she was doing. Financial Weekly, one of China's largest finance media firms, towered proudly beneath the morning sun, its glass exterior gleaming luxury, wealth, and prestige. Inside, the atmosphere was intense. Employees zipped past in suits, fingers flying across keyboards, phones ringing, voices clashing. It was organized chaos at its finest. At one corner of the bustling office, Zheng Shuyi sat over a stack of files when a private call came through. "Are you speaking with Zheng Shuyi?" the voice asked. "Yes, this is she replied. "I'm Chen Xing," the man introduced himself. "Assistant to the director of Mingyu Bank. I'm calling to inform you that the interview scheduled with Director Sure has been postponed. He's dealing with personal matters." She's brows furrowed. "A 1-week delay? That would be too late." "Please," she pleaded. "Could he squeeze in a quick phone interview? Just 2 hours today if possible. I'd be grateful." Chen Xing hesitated. "It'll be difficult, but I'll try to fit you in somehow." "No promises." Her face lit up. Eyes shimmering with hope, she thanked him, genuinely. Call ended, and Shuyi slumped onto her desk, exhaling deeply in relief. Introducing the director, Shi Yan. Just 27, he inherited a failing financial empire, Mingyu Bank, amid doubt and disaster. But against all odds, he pulled it back from the brink and carved his name into the heart of China's financial elite. Shi Yan. The name alone commanded attention. Now imagine the prestige of interviewing him. Later, she lay on her desk, tired and cramping. Her period had hit hard. Her colleague leaned in. "You okay? Aren't you going to your boyfriend's birthday?" She shook her head. "No. The interview's more important." Just then, her phone rang. Xingzhou. Eyes widening, she sat up and answered quickly. "Hey," he said casually. "When are you done?" "I'll come pick you." "I'm so sorry," she said gently. "I can't come tonight. I have an important interview." "No problem," he replied, unconcerned. She added softly, "I don't feel too well either, so I'll have to skip the after-party." Still unbothered, he said, "It's okay. There'll be more birthdays." And just like that, he ended the call. She stared at her screen. A lump formed in her chest. Her colleague sipped coffee and sighed. "Your boyfriend is so understanding. Unlike mine." But she's thoughts churned. Too understanding? He hadn't even asked what was wrong when she mentioned not feeling well. She shook her head, tapping her cheeks. "Get a grip, Shuyi. It's probably just the period talking." She refocused. She'd chosen work over him, now she had to make it count. Later that night, Shuyi sat alone in a private meeting room, quietly typing on her laptop. 2 hours had passed. Still no word from the assistant. She stared at her phone, praying this interview wouldn't fall apart again. Suddenly, her cramps hit her again, and she regretted not taking pain reliefs earlier. Suddenly, the door creaked. A young man in a sleek suit stepped in, Qin Xiaoming Mingyu's second-in-command and Shiyan's brother-in-law. He called her name softly, unsure if it was her. She didn't hear him. Her phone rang again. Chen Sheng. She answered with hopeful eyes. But they dimmed immediately. "I'm sorry," he said. "The director won't be available tonight." She exhaled slowly. "Understood. Thank you." She left the building, disappointment weighing down every step. As she walked through the elegant halls past VIPs she'd interviewed in the past, she couldn't help but scan for him. Could Shiyan be here too? At the exit, a tipsy man in his 40s stumbled toward her. "Reporter Zheng." "Mr. Li," she laughed nervously. What a coincidence. Before she could finish, he grabbed her arm. "It's raining. Let me take you home." She gently pulled away. "My boyfriend is nearby. He'll pick me up." Close by, a sleek black limousine pulled to a gentle halt. Car hummed beneath the glow of streetlights, polished and silent. Inside, Qing Xiaomi. The tinted window rolled down partway as a tall young man approached from the shadows. His face remained hidden, just a silhouette under the halo of rain and neon. Qing Xiaomi's eyes flicked toward Shuyi's direction. "There," he pointed subtly. "That woman, she once interviewed me." The man didn't respond. "She's decent," he added, watching his unreadable silence. He finally tilted his head slightly, just enough to follow her gaze. Shuyi, still walking with quiet fury, oblivious to the eyes now watching her. "I overheard she waited hours for you at Warner's Manor. It's already late. You should offer her a ride." No words, just a knowing breath. Shiyan stepped forward, his face now faintly revealed beneath the low lights. The city air felt heavier for a moment. So it was him. Shuyi, alone in the cold, sighed as raindrops kissed her face. Her thoughts were racing, disappointment still thick in her chest. From afar, Shiyan looked at her, long and thoughtful as if reading between her layers. She groaned softly, wincing at the pain in her ankles. Why is there no picture of this man online? What kind of ghost is he? She searched her phone in frustration then, a car honked. She snapped her head up, startled. A chauffeur stepped out and opened the door for her. Before she could react, she heard footsteps. Then a voice, bold, calm and rich, "Reporter Zheng." She turned around. There he was. Shiyan. Regal. Commanding. Unmistakable. "I'll give you a lift," he said. Shuyi turned away, scoffing inwardly at his audacity. What is it with rich kids and their arrogance? She faced him again, composed, distant. A small, polite smile played on her lips, but her eyes stayed unreadable. Refined pride cloaked her like perfume. She declined gracefully, a wall of elegance hiding her wounded pride. But just then, her stomach betrayed her with a loud, unforgivable growl. Embarrassed, she pressed a hand against her abdomen and forced a smile. "My boyfriend is coming to pick me up." "You don't have to worry," she said, chin high, voice steady. Shiyan's eyes lingered on her, unreadable. He said nothing, just turned, entered the car and disappeared into the night. Later that night, the city roared softly under silver streetlights. Rain drummed against the windshield like whispered warnings. "I'm sorry for not coming earlier, Shuyi. I kind of got lost," Xingzhou muttered as they drove through the wet streets. Shuyi waved it off. It wasn't a big deal, not with the storm pouring down like this. She asked about his birthday, who he spent it with. His fingers tensed on the steering wheel. "Su Feng?" she asked gently, watching him. "Ah, yes. You're so sharp." He laughed, too fast, too forced. But something was off. He smelled different. Leaning in, she sniffed. A sweet floral scent. Not his usual cologne. Definitely not masculine. She raised an eyebrow. "Since when did your friend start wearing such soft perfumes? Or does he have a girlfriend now?" Xingzhou shifted uncomfortably and nudged her away, his tone clipped. Stop it, I'm driving. He ruffled her hair like she was a child. Be good. Shuyi scoffed, turning away to look out the window. Why had he been doing that lately? Patting her head like some obedient pet. It annoyed her more than she cared to admit. The rain hadn't stopped. Neither had the thoughts. Back in her apartment, Shuyi collapsed onto her bed with a tired sigh. The warm shower had eased her body but not her mind. Xingzhou lingered in her thoughts. She reached for her phone to call him, but it wasn't there. Panic tickled her chest. She knew she took it with her when she left Warner's Manor. Had she left it in his car? She grabbed her iPad and pinged its location. A hospital? Her brows furrowed. Why would her phone be there, at this hour? The rain still poured, unforgiving. But her heart wouldn't let her sit still. Jiang City First Citizens Hospital wrapped in a raincoat, umbrella overhead, Shuyi stood outside, soaked in exhaustion and worry. She spotted his car near the entrance. He's really here, she whispered, eyes narrowing. Just then, the hospital doors slid open. And there he was, Xingzhou. Relief rushed in. She was about to call out to him, but stopped. A woman walked out beside him, clinging to his arm like he belonged to her. Soft. Intimate. Familiar. She froze. Eyes wide. Heart shattered. Thunder cracked across the sky like it shared her heartbreak. Lightning lit up the hospital walls in jagged bursts. The two didn't even notice her. They were lost in each other. Smiling. Whispering. Holding on like they'd done this 100 times before. Just like that, every little doubt became truth. Her mind reeled. When he didn't care she missed his birthday, when he brushed off her sickness, when he reeked of a strange perfume, when her colleague said he seemed too understanding for a new boyfriend, no. She hadn't been delusional. Here he was, cupping another woman's hair with tenderness. Suddenly, memories ambushed her. Xingzhou down on one knee. His promises. 3 years of chasing her. Vowing to make her happy for life. All of it lies. And now he was kissing another woman like she never existed. She turned to run, broken, but her bracelet snagged on the car door handle. She yanked it free, breath ragged. 3M Shuyi's apartment, she sat on the floor, surrounded by pieces of the past, photos, ticket stubs, laughter frozen in time. Was all of it fake? Her eyes were red. Her face blotchy. Her hair a mess. But she didn't care. The doorbell rang. She dragged herself to the door, barely present. Her fingers fumbled with the lock. She opened it. And there he was. The scumbag. Xingzhou stood before her. Her bracelet in one of his hands. Guess he found out that she found out. Financial Weekly. A soft knock. The door read, Tang Yi, Editor-in-Chief. Come in, came a smooth voice from inside. She stepped in. Behind the desk sat Tang Yi, elegant, poised, her eyes locked on the screen. Without looking up, she spoke. The interview's been moved to Thursday at 10 a.m. Also, we need to revise one of the questions. Send me an updated version ASAP. Then she looked up and flinched. Eyes bloodshot. Face dull. Her usual glow? Gone. What the hell happened to you? She asked, genuinely alarmed. Then, with a teasing tilt of her head, Don't tell me it's because you missed the chance to see Director Sure again? She gave a faint, tired smile. She wished it were something as silly as that. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I broke up with my boyfriend. Last night. Xingzhou stood at her door, spewing excuses like a child caught red-handed. He was sorry. He didn't mean for it to turn out like this. But the girl's family, filthy rich. Her uncle? The only man in Jiang City who drove a Rolls-Royce with a private plate. He even had the nerve to say it was for his career. And worse, he used to love her, but now? Maybe we're better off as friends. The words were still hanging in the air when Shuyi snapped. She stormed to the basket where she'd kept every memory they shared, photos, cards, gifts, and hurled it at him. Friends? With you? Go to hell. Her scream cracked the air. He flinched. Deservedly. Back to the present. Tang Yi leaned back, absorbing every word. And on top of it all, he took your most expensive brooch? She asked, half in disbelief, half in disgust. She nodded slowly. Humiliation laced her silence. Tangy exhaled sharply. I always knew that guy was no good. You Shuyi, your beauty and brains. I made it my mission to work with you for a reason. She leaned in. With your skills, your achievements, you could have any man. That struck something deep. Shuyi's voice came quiet, bitter. What kind of man should I even be looking for? Her mind flashed to the night before. The new girl. The bragging. Her uncle drives a Rolls-Royce. One who drives a Rolls-Royce, she muttered. Tangy shrugged, proud and unapologetic. Why not? You've earned it. Don't ever shrink yourself. Shuyi's eyes fell to the floor, sad, tired, full of contempt. She hated herself for still caring. For letting his betrayal rattle her this deeply. Tangy handed her a folder as she walked out. Get your act together. Don't let your emotions interfere with your work. And be at the summit meeting at the Financial Center. Financial Center Cafe. Shuyi, dressed in sharp corporate elegance, sipped her coffee, eyes skimming her phone. Cafe was dangerously close to Xingzhou's company. But it was the only decent coffee nearby. As she moved toward the exit, the door swung open with a tug from outside. There he was, Xingzhou. And beside him, her. The girl looked like a giddy teenager, glowing with annoying innocence. Grinning endlessly. Their eyes locked. A heavy silence. Neither spoke, but everything screamed. She held her stare. Coughed inwardly. Just hours after their breakup, and he was already parading her around like a prize? Xingzhou leaned in to whisper to his new girl, gently suggesting they come back later. But the girl clung tighter, whined like a spoiled brat. She needed the cafe's hot cocoa. Claimed she'd fall sick without it. Ridiculous. Shuyi realized instantly the show was intentional. The girl knew who she was. Every giggle, every cling was a performance. She wasn't in the mood for any of it. She brushed past them, cold and unbothered. Looks like assholes never change, she said loudly enough for the walls to hear, but not looking at anyone in particular. The couple froze. The rich girl turned, eyes sharp and ready to bite. She didn't flinch. She tossed her coffee cup into the nearest bin without breaking stride. Some people just love secondhand things, she said flatly. Then walked out, voice burning with audacity, contempt, and power. Beside the cafe, Shuyi's red heels tapped furiously against a metal pole, dainty legs trembling with rage. She clenched her fists and glared at the couple across the road, her breath sharp, chest tight. Calm down, Shuyi. Breathe. They're not worth this, she whispered to herself. But her eyes wouldn't stop burning. Across the street, Xingzhou helped his gleeful girlfriend into the car. She was so rude, the rich girl huffed. I mean, sure, be mad at you. But me? What did I do? Xingzhou chuckled softly. Don't let it get to you. I'm honestly glad I got to see her true colors. She turns away from them, refusing not to get bothered by those scumbag, but then she sighted a car. She's eyes scanned it. That car. That license plate. Her brows furrowed. She'd seen it before, at the hospital. Sighed the manor. Even that night under the storm when her heart split in silence. It was that damn Rolls-Royce. And now it made sense. The obsession. Convenient family connections. The so-called powerful uncle with a private plate and deep pockets. Disgust welled up like bile. So this is what he sold her out for. Her lips twisted. So what if it's a Rolls-Royce? If life wanted to play games, fine, she could be the villain. If she couldn't make him pay, then she'd flip the entire family tree upside down just for fun. In her mind, chaos, lawsuits, scandals, crying aunties, public disgrace. Her expression contorted like a cartoon villain plotting global ruin. Then snap. Back to her soft, composed self. A lady of elegance once again. She turned gracefully and approached the car knock. No answer. She leaned closer, eyes narrowed. Knock knock. Till nothing. She peered into the tinted glass, squinting until the window slowly wound down halfway. A face. Sharp lines. Cold stare. Unbothered silence. She froze. It was him. Shuyi. As the window lowered further, her heart skipped. Ah, the silver spoon she'd politely declined the other night. So she's the woman's uncle? Little uncle, huh? Well, her charm wouldn't fail her now. Leaning in gently, she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, voice as smooth as honey. Sir, my phone's dead, she said sweetly, her eyes locking with his. May I borrow yours to call a taxi? And then, with a sly smile, or, she tilted her head, if you're kind enough to offer me a ride, I wouldn't mind at all. A pause. No words. No shift in his expression. Shuyi finally looked at her, calm, unreadable. I don't give rides to other people's girlfriends, he said flatly. And the car rolled off. Just like that. Shuyi stood there, heels clicking against the pavement, lips parted in disbelief. What the hell? She was too stunned to even flip her late into the night. The only sound in Shuyi's apartment was the angry rhythm of her fingers flying across her keyboard. The keystroke echoed with frustration. Her face burned as the memory of that man, the one she turned down, flashed again. The one who today, in a cruel twist of fate, turned her down. How dare he look at her like that? Like she was beneath his notice. His words slammed into her memory again, cold, clipped, merciless. Shuyi screamed into her pillow, kicking her legs like a child, then flipped over with a groan. Focus, she muttered. You're a professional. If your love life's in shambles, your work should at least be spotless. Morning Manhwa Yu Bank today was her redemption arc. Shuyi stepped out of the taxi, dressed modest and sharp. Her chest lifted with resolve as she stared at the building's glassy facade. The lobby buzzed, people talking, walking, tapping away. She moved through it like someone with purpose. At the reception, a polite assistant slid her a form. Please sign in here, ma'am. She leaned over the logbook and paused. A name stared back at her, Su Yuling. Her stomach dropped. No. No. Su Yuling, her office rival. The woman who had hated her from day one, who made it her personal sport to hijack every career opportunity. Their feud was subtle but constant and well-known. Please don't let this be what I think it is, Shuyi prayed silently, her pen hovering midair. She rushed toward the elevators, heart thumping. The moment the doors slid open on the executive floor, she met Secretary Chen. Good morning, he greeted friendly. You're here for the interview? She nodded, hopeful. Oh, your colleague already came earlier. Director Sure had a sudden gap in his schedule and granted the interview then. The air left her lungs. Shuyi's hand clutched the strap of her handbag, fingers tightening till her knuckles paled. Of course it was her. She swallowed the sting and painted on a fake smile. Must have been a miscommunication. Sorry for the trouble. Secretary Chan apologized too, but the damage was done. Then the hallway hushed. A door opened and everyone stood at once. Walking through with his signature quiet power, flanked by aides in black, came Shuyi. Tall. Composed. Unreadable. Shuyi's heart skipped. Wait, that's the little uncle? Her eyes darted to Secretary Chen, who confirmed it casually. Director Sure. The world tilted. Director. Sure. The man she ghosted the night they met. The man who refused her with zero emotion the next day. The Uncle Xingzhou was so obsessed with. Oh God. Her soft smile twitched as her heart whispered frantic prayers. She stood still, but her eyes begged for mercy. Director Sure walked straight toward her. No flicker of recognition. No pause. Just a passing glance, as if she didn't exist. He brushed by her like wind. She froze. Her heart sank. So that's how we're doing this? Memories swirled. Su Yuling's smug face. Xingzhou's betrayal. No. She wasn't letting this slide. She wanted that interview. She wanted that title. And she was going to get it. She turned sharply. Her voice rang out, clear and composed. Director Sure. He stopped. Back still turned. Shuyi stepped forward with a bright smile like nothing ever happened. The interview we scheduled for this afternoon, she said sweetly. I've been looking forward to it for weeks. Shuyi paused. Slowly, his head tilted back just enough to look at her. Blank. Unbothered. Silent. Secretary Chen glanced between them nervously, gesturing behind his back for her to stop talking, but Shuyi pretended not to see. She smiled wider, eyes glinting. "If you're free now, I'd be honored." Her voice sweet as sugar. Her stance unshaken. She would not be erased. Not today. Her fingers clenched tighter around her handbag handle. Too tightly. Her palms were damp. Her heartbeat loud. She was nervous, and she hated that she was. Till she moved. Each tap of her heels echoed like a countdown as she walked slowly, deliberately, till she stopped right beside him. "Just a bit of your time, please," she said, voice honeyed and hopeful. But Shi Yan didn't even look at her. He turned away, continuing forward like she was nothing more than air. Shi's chest tightened. That was it. She failed. But the elevator chimed. And just as the doors opened, his steps halted. He turned slowly, his voice calm, commanding, "Come in, then!" Inside the elevator, Shuyi lit up instantly, launching into dramatic gratitude. "Oh, Director Shi, you're so kind. Really, thank you. I thought all hope was lost, I thought." She sniffled, pretending tears, overplaying every syllable like she was in a drama scene. Shi Yan said nothing. Secretary Chen? He was 2 seconds away from smacking her with the emergency fire extinguisher. The elevator began descending, and Shuyi finally paused, realizing something strange. Wait, this isn't the top floor. Are we going down? Before she could get an answer, Shi Yan's phone rang. Chen threw her a panicked look. Quiet, he mouthed. Shi Yan declined the call without a second thought and slid the phone back into his pocket, unfazed. Then Secretary Chen's phone lit up and began buzzing too. He picked it up immediately, only to pull the phone back as a voice shrieked through the line. "Tell my uncle to answer his phone right now." She blinked. That voice, isn't that Xingzhou's girlfriend? Shi Yan, completely unfazed, gave his order like a king on a throne. "Tell my niece," he said coolly, "that if she misbehaves at home, I won't tolerate being around her." Oof. That was not what she expected. Tricked uncle? Check. Powerful authority in the household? Oh, double check. Intimidating enough to make that brat tremble? Perfect. She smirked inwardly. This family doesn't know what's coming. Outside parking area, I have a long commute, Shi Yan said as they exited the building. We can talk in the car. She nodded quickly. She could barely keep the excitement off her face. Inside the sleek black car, he removed his glasses. And for a second, Shuyi actually forgot how to breathe. This man, without his glasses? Dangerous. Those blue eyes. That sculpted face. His scent mingling with the car's luxurious aroma. It was all too much. She tucked her hair behind her ear, tilting her head slightly, her smile soft, her pose subtle but strategic. She looked out the window like a shy girlfriend on a first date. Professional yet undeniably captivating. Shi Yan suddenly glanced at her. "Are you cold?" She blinked. Huh? What kind of random question was that? But she played along, flashing a sweet smile. No, not at all. He nodded once, then turned to the side panel. Let's open the window then. Huh? The glass dropped completely, and a full-blown windstorm invaded the car like a personal vendetta. Shuyi flinched, her perfectly styled hair scattering like petals in a typhoon. Cold whipped across her skin, stealing every ounce of her elegance. She clutched her sleeves, shivering, jaw trembling. Jay, just because I said I'm not cold doesn't mean I'm hot. She realized it. Her pride, her elegance, they were slipping. And this cold-hearted man was watching it unravel. With a deep breath, she pulled herself together, forcing a light smile. Such refreshing autumn breeze, she murmured, like she hadn't just been assaulted by the wind 10 seconds ago. She reached into her handbag and pulled out a hair tie. No more hair flipping, she slicked it into a ponytail with practiced grace. Then she raised her recorder with a polite smile. Mr. Shi, can I start recording now? Silence. Not a word. Not a blink. Just that damn expressionless face. Huh? She tried again, her tone softer. I'll record the process and send it to you for review before it's published. She laughed awkwardly, hoping for at least a nod. Till nothing. Does he want to build a military academy in this car or what? She scoffed in her head. Finally, she gave up on his approval. I'll begin the interview now, she announced, schooling her voice into something calm, crisp, and professional. The topic is the Chinese yuan's role as a pillar currency across Asian countries, and its growing influence in the eastern region. As she spoke, Yan's gaze sharpened. This was the same topic the other journalist had covered earlier. What's going on? Meanwhile, Shuyi continued with confidence. First off, what key steps should major banks take in the yuan's internationalization? Any insight? She looked up from her script, her voice bright. Yan stared at her. Hard. Why are they reading the same script? He didn't blink. Didn't move. Just fixed his gaze on her like she was some equation that didn't add up. Shuyi kept smiling, but inside she was praying her bladder wouldn't betray her. Then, finally, he turned his head and answered with poise, calm and clear. First, banks must boost their capital strength to stay competitive globally and handle complex international operations. Every word came out sharp, deliberate, loaded with intellect. He went on, delivering his second point, then the third. And just like that, the interview had begun. 2 hours later, she was still asking. He was still answering. And it felt like he had the entire financial world downloaded into his brain. She could barely keep up. She pressed a hand to her forehead, mentally drained. How was he not tired? She glanced sideways and froze. His eyes were closed. He looked like a painting. Silent. Still. Too perfect to be real. Her gaze lingered a little too long, drawn in by his features. And just when she thought he was fully asleep, "Is the interview over?" he asked flatly, eyes snapping open. She jolted and immediately looked away. I'm done looking," she blurted as she buried her face behind her iPad. Wait. What? What did she just say? She died inside. Yan raised a brow slightly, watching her drama unfold without a flicker of emotion. Then, "We've arrived, Mr. Sure," the chauffeur announced. Saved. Bless that driver. Yan stepped out with a tired sigh. 2 hours, he muttered as he adjusted his coat. She peeked out the window, blinking. Where are we? She stepped out cautiously, eyes widening as she took in the open land. Horses. Fields. Sigh. What? You can leave now, Yan said without looking back, walking off toward the field. She just stood there, stunned. Leave? Leave how? On horseback. She stared at his back as it grew smaller. He's serious? He's really going to abandon me here? No. Absolutely not. This wasn't over. Mr. Sure, she called, jogging after him in heels. I have one more question. He paused. Waiting. She caught up, panting, then stalled, rubbing her arm like she wasn't about to throw a grenade. It's not really important. Just trivial gossip, really, she stammered. He stared, waiting. And then she said it. Do you have a girlfriend? Silence. Yan slowly turned his head, eyes meeting hers. She smiled. Sweet. Innocent. Like she hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of a war zone. Yan turned fully now, facing her. Tall. Unbothered. One hand still tucked in his pocket, his presence as commanding as ever. He didn't speak right away. Just studied her. And Shuyi held her breath, waiting. Was he going to answer? But then, Yan, did you just arrive? A voice called from behind. Older. Warm. Curious. And who is that with you? Shuyi peeked past Yan and froze. No. Way. She gasped, clapping a hand over her mouth. That's Guan Xiangqing, the industry's icon. Finance legend. The man you only see on the news and textbooks. Yan opened his mouth to answer, but Shuyi was already stepping forward, her reporter instincts kicking in. Hello, sir. I'm Lin Shuyi, journalist for, she introduced herself with her trademark dazzling smile, equal parts charm and poise. To her surprise, Guan smiled right back. I've read some of your pieces, he said warmly. You're quite the talented young lady. Shuyi almost melted. Ah, thank you, sir, you're too kind, she replied, eyes sparkling like a fangirl pretending to be humble. Then Guan turned back to Shi with a light chuckle, patting his shoulder. I didn't prepare anything since you rarely bring anyone over, especially girls. She blinked. Wait, what? Girls? Rarely? She turned away slightly, cheeks warming. Did he think I was his girlfriend? Honestly, she didn't mind that assumption one bit. Later Guan led them around the estate, showing off the sprawling fields. Shuyi, in full performance mode, talked non-stop, complimenting everything from the manicured grass to the grace of the horses. You've maintained this place so beautifully, she beamed. And these horses. I've never seen such majestic ones before. Guan chuckled. The prized ones are inside. You'll want to see those. She gasped, clutching her heart dramatically. Really? Shi Yan, walking beside her, scoffed under his breath. What is she, 5? Then Grandpa Guan smiled. Would you like to stay and see more? She instantly turned to Shi Yan with wide, hopeful eyes. Puppy mode activated. He gave her that same unreadable stare before sighing, I'll go get changed. Don't cause trouble. He walked off. Shi's jaw dropped. Wait. He didn't kick me out. She lit up. Okay. I promise to stay right here and be good. She shouted cheerfully behind him. From the side, Grandpa Guan chuckled softly, holding the reins of a horse. You two seem to know each other well. She scratched her neck, laughing shyly. Actually, we just met today. HM. Well, since you're here and you seem interested, why not try riding a horse? Huh? Really? Can I? He nodded. Go get changed. My wife's old riding gear should fit you. Shuyi lit up like a kid-handed candy. I would love to. She jogged toward the changing room, grinning the whole way, humming under her breath like a girl head over heels. Meanwhile, in the opposite changing room, Shi Yan was busy ignoring the world. Or at least pretending to. But on Shi's side, she was in full excitement mode, clothes flying everywhere as she changed. The outfit was perfect. Fitted like it was made for her. She admired herself in the mirror. Wow, I look like a legit equestrian goddess. Then, problem. The belt. Why was it so confusing? She fumbled with it, frustrated. Then an idea. She heard distant footsteps from the other room. Shi Yan must be done changing. Perfect. Time to play. Mr. Shi, she called out sweetly. Can you help me with this belt? I can't figure it out. She smirked, already praising herself internally. Hook, line, and sinker, his footsteps stopped. Then he walked up, slow, firm, straight to the door separating them. Her heart skipped. And then, if you can't wear the belt, don't ride a horse, he said flatly. Shi's mouth dropped open. What? She stared at the door in disbelief. Did he really just say that? She clenched the belt in her hand. This man, this devil. She was going to ride that horse if it killed her. And she was going to make him watch her do it in style. The wind whispered across the field, cool, soft, and almost romantic. Shuyi stood still, her hair fluttering behind her like a painting. But her mind was far from calm. Earlier, from her chat with Mr. Guan, she learned something surprising. Shi Yan and the old man weren't blood-related. Just a long-standing family connection. Mr. Guan was a close friend of Shi Yan's father, respected, honored. Which meant, Shi Yan shows up here out of respect. That alone said a lot. Maybe more than Shi Yan himself ever would. This one has the mildest temperament, Mr. Guan's voice broke through her thoughts, gently bringing her back to the moment. She turned. He stood beside a calm, beautiful horse. His hand on the reins. His tone casual. But his next words? Not so casual. Let Shi Yan teach you how to ride. Her eyes sparkled. He said it. He actually said it. She strode confidently toward them, an innocent smile on her lips, but the mischief loud in her mind. He won't be able to say no now. She mounted her horse, sitting tall. then glanced his way. "Director, sure, if you'll just give me a few tips," but the sentence never made it out. Her body tensed. Eyes widened. Breath caught. What? He had mounted the same horse behind her. His arms slipped forward, steady hands grasping the reins over hers. No. No, no, no. This isn't what I meant by tips. "What's wrong?" he asked, his low voice brushing against her ear, warm and maddeningly close. It's nothing," she stammered. "I'm just a little nervous. First time riding and all." "Okay," he nodded calmly. He tightened his grip slightly, his hands brushing against hers. And then they moved. The horse began to trot gently into the open field. The sun dipped lower behind them, casting a warm, golden hue across the grass. Other horses grazed nearby. It was quiet, serene, and Shuyi could feel her heart doing somersaults. He smelled clean, his presence steady. Yen, quiet, cold, and unreadable, felt strangely warm today. Was this what he was like when no one was watching? Just then, from the distance, Yen! Grandpa Guan waved at them from the fence. Shuyi lifted her hand in response, half ready to wave, when suddenly, the reins were pulled. The horse neighed sharply, then bolted. Wait! Shuyi shrieked, arms flying as panic gripped her whole body. Director, sure. Slow down. But he didn't. Not a flinch. Not a word. The wind howled past her ears as the horse charged through the field. Shuyi was holding on for dear life. And then jumps. A wooden rail. Leap. They flew. And again. Leap. She screamed. Stop. Please. The third jump. The fifth. The seventh, she lost count. She clung to his arm with what strength she had left. And when she couldn't take it anymore, when her breath had nearly vanished, "I'm begging you, please slow down," she whispered, barely audible. Her body trembled, drained. Her face pale. She was dizzy. On the verge of collapse. That's when he finally pulled the reins. The horse slowed, then stopped. But the stop was abrupt. She lurched forward. "Ah!" she cried out and nearly fell, but Yen caught her. His arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her back against him. Her body collapsed forward onto the horse's neck, drained. Yen looked down at her, eyes narrowed. His usual expression was still there, blank, unreadable, but in the silence, there was something. A flicker of concern. Just a flicker. She coughed, exhausted. Her lips parted, her breath shaky. Her heart beat loudly in her ears. Her soul? Floating somewhere outside her body. She would never try to figure him out again. This man is a madman. "Do you still want to learn?" He asked unbothered, and her soul screamed in return, "Forget it!" Never in her lifetime. Nightfall blanketed the sky as the car rolled to a soft stop in front of Shuyi's apartment. Inside, she stirred, slowly peeling open her eyes, still heavy from the sleep she drifted into on the way back. Passenger seat beside her was empty. He was gone. Rubbing her eyes, she blinked through the dim lights and quietly stepped out of the car. The night air wrapped around her as she made her way toward her apartment, dragging her feet, her hand rising to rest on her face, worn out, sore, and barely holding it together. Then her fingers paused. Her heart jumped. Her earrings gone. She spun around in a snap, eyes scanning the street, just in time to see the car already pulling away, disappearing into the distance before she could even call out. She sighed. It was just 50 yuan. Right now, she didn't even have the strength to care. Finance Weekly buzzed as always. "Shuyi, why didn't you check your phone? Why didn't you reply my texts yesterday? Something huge happened." Nan leaned in like a coiled spring ready to unravel the hottest scoop. Shuyi offered a half smile and an apologetic glance, brushing her hair behind one ear. She was swamped last night, messages stacked up, deadlines piling. "What happened?" she asked, curious but calm. Nan's eyes darted around. Then she whispered, "Do you know Su Yuling also went to interview Yen?" Shuyi nodded. She already knew. It didn't faze her. But Nan's next words hit differently. "She copied your report. Questions too. almost word for word. Shuyi's eyes widened, breath catching mid-thought. Suddenly, everything made sense. The strange expression Shuyi gave her yesterday, the flat tone, the flicker of confusion in his eyes. She clenched her jaw. The interview was hers. The work was hers. Why should someone else walk away with the credit? No. She wouldn't let that slide. Without a second thought, she pushed back from her desk, telling Nan she was going to find the editor-in-chief. But then, pain. A sharp sting in her thighs made her stop short. Inside the restroom, hidden behind one of the stalls, she sat, lifting her skirt slightly to check. Bruises. Worse than she expected. She hadn't even realized it while riding all night. Who knew riding a horse could leave such a mark? And it was all thanks to that cold-blooded Shuyi. As if almost on cue, the restroom door slammed open. Footsteps. A voice. Angry. It was Su Yuling. On a call. Don't you think she always favors Zheng Shuyi? Ever since she joined the dance department, she gives my share of work to her every single time. I bet she even has Tang Yi on her side. Her voice trembled with irritation, her frustration palpable as she slammed her palm against the counter. Shuyi listened, every word carving itself into her memory. She even got more information from Director Sure than I did. It was the same interview, but her answers were way better. I don't get it. What kind of spell did she put him under? That was enough. The stall door burst open. No, I didn't put anyone under a spell, Shuyi said, voice sharp and ice-cold. Su Yuling froze, catching sight of her through the mirror. Her phone slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. Shuyi walked up slowly, her reflection calm, composed, deadly. She tucked a lock of hair behind her ear, admiring her own coolness like it was just another casual day. I'm just competent. And Director Sure happens to appreciate that. She turned to face her fully now. Face soft, lips curled into a smile, but the kind that cut deep. You've got some nerve acting like the victim. Su Yuling stood there, silent, stiff, raging, but powerless. Meanwhile, Shuyi was practically glowing. The victory was hers. She twirled, arms lifted like she was dancing. She laughed, dramatic and full of glee. Not even the bruises could hold her down now. Her heart soared. Her body hurt less. The glory was worth every second. No gain without pain. She reminded herself. If she really wanted to become an Annie, she had to play big. Inside a taxi, Shuyi reapplied her lipstick while Nan grinned beside her, full of praise. So what happens to Su Yuling now? Shuyi's expression cooled. She explained how the editor had dismissed it like always, saying they were teammates, that they needed each other, and that her report would still be the one featured. Let bygones be bygones. Well, Nan said, eyes rolling, shameless people will always be shameless. Finance Center. We're here, Shuyi announced as she stepped out of the taxi. But the next second, she was scrambling back inside, crashing into Nan's lap in a panic. Nan shrieked. Is the ground lava out there or what? She ducked low, eyes wide. It was Xingzhou. Nan, bewildered, peeked out. Isn't that your boyfriend? Silence. Her guess landed spot on. Dumped. Cheated on. Everything unraveled in that one look. Hey, how did you guess that? She whispered. Nan smirked, proud. She'd noticed the car. It used to be a Honda. Now? A Benz. I figured he hooked up with a rich lady, she concluded. Shuyi's face fell. Nan glanced outside again and commented on how modest the car is, and it's something they can easily afford if they worked hard enough. Hearing that, Shuyi's thoughts wandered to Shuyi. His Bentley. His Rolls-Royce. Meanwhile, his niece drove something modest. So he doesn't just throw money at people. She played with her earring thoughtfully. Looks like the man was a penny pincher after all. Elsewhere, inside a parked car, Shuyi sat with his glasses off, a laptop open across his lap. His fingers massaged the bridge of his nose, drained, frustrated, and ready to end the day. Then something glinted from the seat beside him. He picked it up. A shining earring. He stared at it. Curious. Silent. From the front seat, his secretary turned around. Sir, Zheng Shuyi is on the line. A pause. She said she forgot something in the car. The earrings sparkled in Shuryan's hand, catching the low light of dusk. Shuryan sat back, eyes on the tiny object glinting between his fingers. Pearl earring. Delicate. Innocent. And, according to the woman on the other end of the line, missing. "I think I left my earring in your car yesterday," Shuyi said. Her voice was light but hopeful. "A pearl one? Have you seen it by any chance?" He stared at the earring, swirled it once. Then flatly, no, a pause. "Could you check again?" she asked, gently pressing. "It means a lot to me." His brow twitched. He leaned back, voice steady. "How important?" Silence trickled through the phone for a beat. Then, softly, almost reverently, she answered, "My grandma gave it to my mom and my mom passed it to me. It's our family heirloom." His gaze narrowed. The earring spun again between his fingers. Plastic. Smooth. Cheap. But now somehow wrapped in sentiment. She went on. It's actually my dowry. I'm supposed to wear it on my wedding day." He raised a brow. Then came the sobs. Sudden, dramatic, absolutely theatrical. "I haven't seen my grandma in so long, this earring reminds me of her. Please." A long sigh escaped him as he closed his laptop, palms still cradling the so-called heirloom. "I found it," he said at last. A shriek of joy burst through the speaker. Her excitement tumbled over itself, barely coherent. She was already talking about picking it up, until he cut her short. "Your dowry," he said slowly, dry amusement laced in his tone, "is made of plastic." Evening crept in with a warm glow as Shuyi stood before a towering penthouse. She had insisted she'd pick the earring up herself. Course she did. He hadn't said whose address it was, but one look at the place and she knew. There's no way this belonged to a secretary. This was all him. Excitement fizzed under her skin. She brushed invisible dust off her coat and whispered to herself, "Let's go become an auntie." The door swung open before she could knock. She smiled, "Good eve," but the rest of her words froze on her lips. No one stood there. The door had opened on its own. Inside was silent. Empty. She stepped in, quiet, almost cautious. She crept up the stairs, one step at a time, eyes scanning the space. It was darker than she expected. Cool, modern quiet. Then she stopped. Breath caught. Steps halted. There he was. Sitting still, almost ethereal. His silhouette soaked in soft amber light. The sky burned in hues of fire and gold. For a second, she forgot why she came. She forgot everything. He didn't turn. Just reached up and slowly removed his glasses. "It's over there," he said, motioning toward a table without even looking. He had known she was there all along. She lit up. So he did keep it safe. She dashed to the table like a child grabbing a prize, snatching up the earring with joy all over her face. But as she twirled around, her smile dimmed. She couldn't just take it and leave. She needed something, anything, to keep the moment going. Her eyes caught something on his desk. A music disc. Songlian. Perfect. "Director Sure, do you also like Songlian?" He responded without facing her, busy pouring a drink. She jumped right in, not waiting. Her voice brightened, full of fandom energy as she gushed about how much she adored the artist, how coincidental it was, and how she never expected him to enjoy hit songs. Words poured out of her. Until they stopped. Suddenly, her gaze had landed on the couch. And what sat there? A woman's bag. Young. Stylish. Clearly not something his assistant would own. Her stomach dropped. Her face drained of color. Her chest thudded painfully. He has a girlfriend? And she's still here? She broke into full internal panic. What was she doing here? What if the girlfriend saw her? What if she got ripped apart on the spot? Nope. She was not about to die today. She bowed quickly, words stumbling over each other. "Thank you so much for the earring, I'm really grateful." "I'll be on my way now." Behind her, the sound of porcelain tightening under strain. A pause. "Ha!" His voice. Low. Measured. She froze. Till bent. Then came his words, slow, deliberate, laced with something unreadable. "You're leaving already?" She let out a light, awkward laugh, thin, almost brittle. "It's already late. I still have reports to finish." Before he could respond, she darted out. Cool hallway greeted her like a splash of water. She pressed the elevator button and waited. But her fingers hovered. Her feet didn't move. What if she was wrong? What if that purse wasn't his girlfriend's? What if there was no girlfriend at all? Was she really about to toss all her effort, all her plans over a hasty assumption? Her brows furrowed. She turned on her heel. She needed to be sure. Back into the room she went, feigning calm. "Minor inconvenience," she said smoothly, playing her usual games. "I was wondering if I could borrow something from your girlfriend, if you don't mind." Director Schur turned fully this time. His gaze unreadable. "Girlfriend?" She nodded toward the purse, tilting her head. "The girl who was here earlier, she's not?" A pause. Slight. "Then," he answered. "No, she isn't." A breath of relief slipped past her lips, almost involuntarily. "That's good to hear." He watched her. Quiet. His glass paused near his lips, then lowered. He stepped closer. "Good." His voice was steady. Measured. "In what way?" She froze. Eyes flickering. A soft, nervous chuckle left her as she looked away. Words danced in her throat but refused to form. He began gently clacking the glass in his hand, waiting. Tension spilled into the air like perfume. "I was just trying to avoid unnecessary misunderstanding," she finally muttered. He stepped closer. Too close. She instinctively leaned back, heart pounding. "What kind of misunderstanding?" he asked again. The words tangled on her tongue. Each step he took made her retreat, until the edge of a table caught her. She clung to it, steadying herself. Her mind was chaos. She didn't know what to say anymore. Until, "I didn't want to be misunderstood as seducing you." The words spilled out like water from a cracked cup. He leaned in further, his hand lightly touching her waist to steady her. "And what about my niece?" he said softly. "What will she misunderstand?" Silence. Their eyes locked. Neither moved. Neither blinked. Shuyi's fingers clenched the table. She yanked herself upright, flustered. "Never mind. It's fine." She blurted. "If it's your niece then that's okay." Then it hit her again. Xingzhou's girlfriend. If that wild woman met her here, alone with him, her pulse spiked. Right. I wouldn't want your niece to misunderstand me too." She rushed. And before he could utter another word, she bolted. Gone. The slippers on her feet flung off as she dashed down the hall barefoot. Left like a whirlwind. Shuryen stepped forward slowly, picked up the abandoned slippers. His brows furrowed, faintly puzzled. Why did she run like that? A soft voice called from the stairs behind him. "Uncle." A sleepy girl rubbed her eyes, descending in a loose t-shirt. "I just woke up from a nap. Did someone come by?" It was Qin Shuriwe, his actual niece. Shuryen didn't answer. He just looked at her, brooding, unreadable. Then turned and walked out onto the balcony without a word. Shuriwe blinked. Why was he staring at her like that? Had she done something wrong? If you're dying to know what happens next, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment if you want to see part 2. Don't forget to turn on post notifications so you never miss new uploads from us. Your support keeps the story alive, one secret at a time. Until next time.